Yes, welcome back. It is Daybreak Africa. I know that a lot of you have enjoyed your independence celebration thus far because it's a continuous process right here. Before we came on the show, I was actually telling my guests that the celebration is something that you need to look for even if you don't feel like celebrating. Okay, with that said, we're moving on now to our discussion this morning. We're taking a look at a very important topic in the midst of the celebration, because experience has proven that even when people laugh and smile, the pains are within, and one of those is food sufficiency. We're taking a look at Nigeria's food sufficiency, agricultural tips for large farms and gardens. Now, it may shock you to know that food insufficiency is a global problem. It's not something that is peculiar with Nigeria. In fact, statistics says about 2.5 billion people worldwide suffer food insufficiency or food crisis. To help us discuss this topic this morning, however, we have an expert with us. He is Dr. Ibidapo Iranola. Is an agricultural economist. He has a B or bachelor's education in agricultural science, AREYOU, master's education, adult education, UI, masters of science, did I get that right? Yeah. Agricultural economics, UI, master's in philosophy, agricultural economics, UI, and a PhD in agricultural economics, UI. That is so much for one person. Dr. Ibidapo, we welcome you to Daybreak Africa.
Thank you very much. I want to first and foremost appreciate and thank the management of this organization for just giving me the opportunity to showcase myself and even the organization on Daybreak Africa. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. We appreciate that.
You're welcome.
So it is important for us to begin from the top. Well, the celebration, I would have asked you about how you celebrated the season, despite our little chit-chat before we came on air. But one basic problem in the minds of Nigerians is the food crisis. Yeah. When you ask a lot of Nigerians, like the reply that you gave to me, what is there to celebrate about, actually? Because a lot of Nigerians believe that there's absolutely nothing to celebrate because of the hardship in the country, which cuts across everyone, more or less. In the past we heard the rich also cry. We never knew it will become our reality in Nigeria. So I just want you, to give us your own take about the food crisis in the country, and of course balance it vis-a-vis the Nigeria's celebration of its 64th independence. Just your take, how far we've come and the situation on ground.
Yeah, thank you very much. The topic is a broad-ended topic, food self-sufficiency. You see, when we talk about food, is one of the basic fundamentals in every human life, even including the home. And like you said the other time, that people, when you ask questions about celebrating independence, that people don't just feel celebrating. And why? It is because when any celebration that is devoid of food, even look at it outside, if there is a party and there is no food there, people will not even be happy. You look at what happens even in the Bible. When people gather together in a wedding and later the food is being exhausted and they have to find solution. So in case of Nigeria, it is a serious problem. It is a serious problem. And when we look at it, even from the time immemorial, even during independence, the issue of food sufficiency or food self-sufficiency has been a problem. Because when you say food is substances or any substance that is consumed by humans for the sake of sustainability or for good living, for healthy life. So broadly, when we look at the topic food self-sufficiency, there are a lot of keywords embedded. Number one, we have food. Number two, we have sufficiency. Number three, we have self-sufficiency. Number four, we have food self-sufficiency. And like I define food, that is any substance that is consumed by living organism that could enhance them energy, good living, and a healthy life. Then it is food. And this food can be gotten from various sources: carbohydrate, protein, and all these are stable crops. And when we talk about sufficiency, sufficiency means having the wherewithal, the requirement to meet the need, to meet your need in terms of whatever you can call it. Because we have what we call food sufficiency, we have economic sufficiency, we have energy sufficiency, we have water sufficiency, and we have general sufficiency. Then what do we mean by food sufficiency? Food sufficiency therefore means that you have access to safe, nutritious, and good quality, healthy food.
Not just any food.
Not just any food. Safe, quality, nutritious, and healthy food for living. Then it means you have adequate supply of food, steady one. You are devoid of hunger. That is food sufficiency. Then when we now talk about food self-sufficiency, then food self-sufficiency entails that a country, community, or an individual is able to meet the nutritional requirement or demand of its population without actually relying or with a minimal dependence on importation. And when you look at the country, like I said, from the beginning, right from the independence, the issue of self-sufficiency in food for the country has been the agitation of successive government. Because when you look at it, there are various programs that were put in place by successive government, like we have the Green Revolution, we have the Operation Feed the Nation, we have the Farm Settlement Scheme. When you look at the objective of all these programs, what is the key issue? The cardinal goal was to increase food production. Malthusian theory made us to understand that there is no way a country will not be food insufficient, because the population is increasing at a geometric rate, while food production is increasing at an arithmetic rate. Okay, so and there is need for us to have to look inward by the way you can meet up with the growing population. When the population is increasing, food production should also be increasing, because people will definitely have to eat. And like there is a common saying that when food is taken out of poverty, it remains just little. Okay, the Yoruba parlance, so food is so fundamental, is so important, and that we cannot. In fact, I don't think there is any substitute.
Allow me
to food.
At this point, you
yes.
just mentioned food insecurity or insufficiency.
Yeah.
You did mention the issue of population. I think to actually ask at this point, is population a problem, or is it more like a lack of purchasing power, or Nigerians' total inability to want to invest into agriculture that is the problem of our food insufficiency currently in this nation?
Yeah, the problem of food insufficiency in this country is multidimensional. You understand? We are just looking at the issue of fuel subsidy. Okay? When you look at all these programs that I have just highlighted, the key issue is to increase food production, even right from the independence. You understand? It's only that the removal of fuel subsidy now aggravated it.
I just want to know if it's as a result of overpopulation. That is why we are having food insufficiency in the nation, because you did mention overpopulation as a factor. So
yeah.
Our current situation, is it because of overpopulation? Is that why we're having food insufficiency, or is it more like Nigerians are not interested in agriculture, or generally purchasing power, as everybody tends to cry about?
Yeah, the issue of food insufficiency can be approached from diverse ways. Number one, when we heard about climate change. Okay, climate change is a fundamental factor that is affecting food production. Number two, we have even like the problems we are facing in the country now. the issue of Boko Haram for quite some years now, the issue of banditry and kidnapping for quite a long period of time, the issue of this fuel crisis now aggravated the whole thing. So the issue of not whether it is from this dimension, it is from that. No. It is multidimensional.
More like a mixture of everything.
Yes.
Okay.
That it is multidimensional. And when you look at even the cost of production this time around is high. Look at all the inputs that are being used in the production of this food. The prices has skyrocketed. So when you look at all this holistically, it comes to the problem that we are now addressing, food insufficiency. You see, we can rule out the effect of fuel subsidy. Fuel subsidy itself has both the positive and the negative effect. When we look at the positive effect of fuel subsidy will increase the revenue of the government. The government will now have more money to invest in other sectors, agriculture particularly. Mind you, there are some other factors there. It is possible for the money to get accumulated, and it is another thing for it to be well invested. Because when all this money that are accrued on behalf of the government are invested into agriculture, there will be much production. But government have a very good program relative to agriculture. When you look at some of these programs, like I said the other time, we have during Babangida era, during Obasanjo era, we have program tailored towards increasing food sufficiency, like NALDA, National Agricultural Land Development Authority, the Directorate of Food, Road and Rural Infrastructure. We have River Basin Development Authority. All these are programs. The cardinal goal is to increase food sufficiency. But today, well, this program, where's the evaluation, the monitoring, the implementation? So all these are problems. They are underlying factors that are, it's just like we are carrying it over.
And it's accumulating.
It's accumulating. So the effect that we now felt now is not only due to fuel subsidy is more or less like an addendum to the problem.
Now talking about, you did mention that we can actually, holistically take a look at the problems from one point.
Okay.
We have to take a look at it from different points and different reasons. And you just mentioned, before I talk about the programs, ironically I have questions for the programs, but you did mention climate change. But this is one aspect in Nigeria that sounds so strange to Nigerians when we hear climate change, because we are so blessed with we have flooding now and again in the country, which appears to be one of the biggest natural disasters that we experience as a people, apart from the recent earthquake that happened in Abuja, which is very alien to us, is climate change. Nigerians that understand the effect of climate change on food sufficiency, especially climate smart agriculture for drought resistant crops. Nigerians don't believe. I would really want you to let us understand how important it is for Nigerians to understand the phenomenon of climate change and how it affects agriculture.
Yeah, it's not that the government is not, or people are not aware of what exactly we mean by climate change.
I don't.
Oh,
I don't.
It has been a long.
I can't tell you I understand it 100%. So I really need more education on it.
Okay. Climate change simply means the variation or changes in the condition of weather over a period of time. And this can be resulting in, number one, it can result in extreme temperature, excessive heat, excessive rainfall, erosion, and so many other problems that could have a devastating effect on agriculture. Not only on agriculture, even on the environment. You see, there are some areas that when you travel now, you just discover that the trees there are just drying. And it is trees, I mean, not grasses. They are just drying up. It's not that because they have applied herbicide, but it's as a result of climate change. And this climate change can result in lead to food insecurity. And that is why we now talk about what we call it climate smart agriculture. Climate smart agriculture is just is an approach by which a set of technologies or systems are being put in place to cushion the effect of climate change, or is a kind of like more or less like adaptation. Take for instance, when we talk about climate smart agriculture, it depends on the way we look at it. We can have what we call crop rotation. It's not that we have not heard about crop rotation where you plant 2 or more different crops on a piece of land in a sequential order. Okay? All these are just to increase the nutrient of the soil, to enhance productivity, to have diversified crop being harvested. You understand? Then like this shifting cultivation that we are talking about is also a system of climate smart agriculture. And what do we mean by shifting cultivation is that you cultivate this area today maybe for 1 year, later you abandon, you move to another place. You understand? You are shifting from one place to the other. It's just like, oh, you have used this place for some time, oh, it's no longer productive, then you want to move. However, another problem about that shifting cultivation is that the population also is a factor. You understand? Like intercropping. So by the time you package all this together, then they form what we call climate smart agriculture. Planting of the pest resistant crop or drought resistant varieties of crop, or even adopting a kind of diversification. They are climate smart, because what we mean by climate smart in a simple term is that how do you cushion the effect of
climate change?
Oh, we are no longer being productive on the farm based on this change. Okay, let me take into another economic activities that can generate income. You understand? So by the time you package this together, it becomes what we call climate smart.
Let's talk a little about waste on large scale operations, because I know we
tend
to waste. Let's talk a little about waste, especially waste on large scale operations in Nigeria. I understand we really suffer with the challenge of waste. So the thing is, how can we as farmers tend to reduce waste on large scale productions and optimize crop yields?
You see, when you talk about waste, it's also a fundamental of so many factors. You understand? Because for you to guide against waste post-harvest losses, there should be adequate storage facilities and processing. You understand? All these are ways by which you can guide against waste. What are the people wasting? Is it the farmer that will harvest and waste? It's not possible. But it is because the processing facilities are not there. Okay, if you process
high-tech processing facilities or just local processing facilities too.
Local processing, it depends on the quantum of harvest. Farmers are processing their maize now. Are you okay? What about the beans that we there? Are they not processing it? Are they not preserving it? But processing is such a large quantum that will be able to cushion the effect of what we are saying. You understand? I know somebody was discussing on one program like this sometimes that they should import food into the country. Good. It's an option. But again, is that a good option? By the time you bring in more food, what happens to a local farmer here?
But we don't have silos. We don't have adequate silos all around the nation.
Yeah.
We always often use this as an example.
Okay.
If you go to our markets, if you go to Lagos, even in Ondo here, Yalaje market, you go to the dustbin, you see heaps of plantain, rotten plantain, mangoes, oranges, tomatoes, onions. I traveled to Benue State on my way back. It was mango season. I saw mountains of mangoes, different species of mangoes rotting away. I bought buckets of mangoes for 100 naira then. I bought the kerosene mango for 150. I bought oranges, bucket of oranges for 50 naira then. Don't ask me the year. So, but the bottom line is there was this heaviness in my heart because I saw mountains and mountains of fruits, farmers' sweat just rotting away because we don't have that processing for the Nigerian government. We don't have that adequacy, as it were.
I wouldn't subscribe to that. You see, the problem we have is that when you look at the policies and programs of government, they are very laudable. You understand? But who are the people that will implement it?
Government.
Government itself. The government. Are we not the government?
Well.
No, are we not the government?
Well, that's a topic for another day.
Yeah, it's a topic for another day. Like we said the other time that what are the programs by the government? Like there are so many programs by the government, manned by the individuals. Okay, then when government, this is it. But the only area where government will have a little blame is that there should be effective monitoring and evaluation. Okay, there are so many, like Anchor Borrowers Program. Okay, Anchor Borrower Program is a program by the government. I know some other states have adopted that.
But do we still have the Anchor Borrowers Program? Is it still being run by the CBN? Because I remember when it started, there was so much noise about it, and suddenly everything just died down. I said I was going to ask you
what we are saying.
If the Anchor is still exists.
That's what we are saying. What we are saying is that whenever government brings out a program, there should be effective monitoring and evaluation. Okay, supervision. You see, when we look at the record, I think that Anchor Borrower Program will be a discussion for another day.
Seriously.
You understand? So the issue of waste that we started from, okay, like when you are traveling to the state capital, from the state capital, to another town very close to the state capital, there is a big expanse of land occupied by silos there. But go there today, it's a ghost of itself.
Why?
Go to is it Oyo State or Osun State? There is a very big silo.
When it is a ghost of itself, what's happening?
It is no longer functional.
Why?
Where? I mean, that will be a topic for another day.
Farmers still farm. They still have best crops, and the crops get wasted. They have best crop. They get wasted.
The issue is that whatever program that is being implemented, there is need for the people to carry along. Oh, there is this one is working here, then this is how we will do it. This is how it should be made operational. You understand? Take for instance, when maybe a local government is constructing a market, they want to have a program that will touch the life of the people. They will not ask the people, where will this market be sited? They just because they site it anywhere, and the people may not go there. Then the people may not be carried along. So what I am saying in essence is that we have silos all over the country. Silos all over the country.
But you just said they're non-functional.
Some of them.
The information.
Some of them.
No information, because that's what I've gotten from you. The people are not carried along. There is no education. There is no information.
Yes, people should be carried along. Then again, there should be a program, government buyback. Buyback simply means, government has, the farmers have produced this, then the government will go and buy and store.
Now you're talking.
It is practiced in China, in India.
Now I'm beginning to understand.
They buy this good, they buy this food and store. So when there's a problem like this, and there are some programs that are tailored even towards that. But again, the operations. Okay, the operations. So all these are some of the problems that we have. It's not that the government doesn't see. Okay, like when the issue of what is it called that I mentioned the other time, like in 1972 to 1983, we have the NALDA, National Accelerated Land Food Production Program. Okay, it is a program initiated in 1972. To 1983.
So
then we have the 1974
just before
Agricultural Development Program.
Before we go for our break, you did mention climate change as an issue, but I think I fail to understand some of the strategies that could be put in place to actually mitigate the effect or impact of climate change. Understanding our situation, knowing we probably don't have the highest of tech to tend to cushion whatever effects climate change is bringing on.
Ezekiel is going to take a long explanation. I think I need that coffee now. When we come back, no, we need to go for that break because I perceive that you're gearing to go. We'll take that break for our tea or coffee or water. We'll take that break, and when we return, our guest is still here, and Ezekiel will once again let him know what he wants him to answer. Stay with us.
Welcome back to the Discuss Proper. Our guest was talking about climate change, its impact on Nigerian farming system, and I was asking, you wanted to really understand how best or what strategies can be put in place for large farms, to mitigate the effects or impact of climate change. Understanding we don't have that ability to probably build the sun or the moon as other countries do, but how can we best handle the situation?
Well, thank you very much. You see, the issue of climate change, there are ways by which the effect could be mitigated even at the local level without even going to the high-tech level. Actually, we know that farmers lack the adaptive capacity when it comes to measuring or the effect of climate change. However, there are some basic or some fundamental system or approach that can be adopted. You understand? Like the other time we talked about this using of crop rotation. Crop rotation is one of the process or system by which you can mitigate the effect of climate change. An adaptation strategy. Okay, how do I mean? Like you are planting maize and you discover that this maize is likely not to do well because of the effect of climate change. You can adopt crop rotation by planting more than one crop. You can diversify into livestock production or mixed cropping or mixed farming rather. Okay, when it's mixed farming, you plant a crop and at the same time you are raising what is it called? Livestock, like poultry. Okay, it's an adaptation strategy. Then like the shifting cultivation I mentioned, the intercropping, the mixed cropping, the adaptation, planting varieties of resistant varieties. Take for instance, like planting tomatoes now. You know that tomatoes is a photoperiodic plant. What do I mean by photoperiodic term is that is a plant that is sensitive to changes in sunlight. You understand? We have species of tomato that is photosensitive. The length of day determines the production, affect the production. So in such a situation, and sunlight is a function or is an element of the climate. And when you realize this, then you can plant tomato species or varieties that is not photo sensitive. So all these are measures by which climate change, I mentioned the effect of climate change can be mitigated. I said the other time, diversification into non-farm activity is also is a way by which the effect is an adaptation strategy.
What about irrigation?
Irrigation is an adaptation
rehabilitation
strategy.
Of tertiary irrigation canals. Can you tell us more
about irrigation?
Yes.
Yeah, you see, and that's a big topic. You
Just
understand?
a little bit.
Most of the problem, what we have in Nigeria, for instance, is that there are few commercial agriculture. But in the Western world, most of the crops that we are produced under irrigation. Okay, they were produced under irrigation. Some of these crops
in and out of season continuously.
Yes.
Food is guaranteed.
Yes, it's guaranteed. But in Nigeria, for instance, Our agriculture is rain-fed. It's determined by the length of rainfall. Variation in the rainfall will have effect on cultivation. So, and that is why at times we talk about, yes, this by now we should still be eating fresh maize. But do you have them again? Because there was a delay in rainfall, and when farmer planted, there was also another short dry spell. All this has effect. All these have effect on production.
Let's talk a little about organic farming,
okay,
especially large-scale organic farming.
Yeah.
What are the benefits? What are the major challenges of organic farming in large scale?
The organic farming, you see, everybody wants to go organic now, and simply because of the side effect of the inorganic. You understand? Take for instance, we're planting maize using synthetic fertilizer. People tend to say, oh no, I want organic. In fact, I was made to understand that in a place in the Western world, you go there, when you get there, you only have organic fruits, organic food. Because we believe that being organic at least is good for your head. Then the issue of organic, you see, most of these things, they require capital. You understand? Because if you want to use maybe poultry dungs now to have a kind of organic cultivation of maize, you don't have poultry, but you have to get it elsewhere. And you need quantum. Then you need a kind of a land that is so fertile, so that it will be devoid of fertilizer or synthetic chemicals. And that is why we say it is organic. Then there is also what we call these organominerals.
What does that mean?
Organominerals means a combination of organic and inorganic fertilizer at a certain percentage. All this will also enhance productivity for self-sufficiency. So, but all these, when you look at them holistically, you discover that farmers need to have access to input, all this input. When they have access to all this input, definitely they will be able to produce.
I was just coming to that. I wanted to ask about agricultural inputs to subsistence farmers. And beside that, we'll talk about investments in mechanized farming. Subsistence farmers, inputs to subsistence farmers, do you think we have tried as Nigerians, or we have governments that has really given that insight and input to farmers? And if not, what can be done? If yes, how far have they gone about
when
it?
you talk about input supply to farmers, actually government are supplying inputs. You understand? But what the quantum supply is what we should look into. I don't know whether you understand what I'm saying. What I'm saying is that we should have a database where we have all take for instance, in this state now, we should know the number of small-scale farmers. Okay, when we know the number of small-scale farmers, then we know the quantum of input
and where to direct them.
And where to direct them.
That it gets to the farmers, not the middlemen.
To the farmers directly. Sometimes ago there was maybe this palliative. The government is giving palliative. You understand? How many people have access to the palliative? But some people have access to the palliative. And some governors or some government, state government, we heard about state government diverting. The federal government meant well. But by the time it comes down, as it's declining down, coming down, then there is problem. Though we can't rule it out from the idea of the high ravaging level of poverty. Because we have poverty at every level.
Let's talk a little about investment. You think
that's interesting.
Actually say a lot, but I would like to understand, say, for the last decade, how well has the government been invested in our agricultural segments?
Yes, like
about schemes amongst other basic investments.
Yeah, like when you talk about investment in agriculture, you see, we've heard about various agricultural investment schemes.
In the last decade.
Is that what?
In the last decade.
Yes.
Okay.
Like agricultural credit scheme. Okay, there was programs by the government, rural development credit, agricultural cooperative credit program.
Still in existence?
That is the issue. That is the issue. That it is not in existence. When if government has come up with a program, what should be our own side of it? Our own side of it is to see
key in
and see the sustainability of the program.
So
You
individuals
see,
fail
problem
to
that
key
we are facing is sustainability of any government program.
by the government themselves or by we the individual failing to key in.
The individual have to key in,
Okay.
then the government also have to play their own role. Like the other time I mentioned monitoring, evaluation and supervision. You understand? All this we have to sustain. You see, there is there is corruption all over the place. We can't shy from this fact. And when government is bringing out a program, it meant well. Yes, government meant well, but the implementation is the key factor.
Now, talking about the best practices, let's now narrow down our discussion, which is something we really need to look into. There's a need for us to have more food in the country. There's no food in Nigeria, despite the fact that we have so much land. You're traveling in anywhere in Nigeria, you see the land just stretching, and you don't see farmers anywhere by the roadside farming, or you see mechanized farming, or you see, even if it's mules that you're using, the olden days type of farming, and then we see activities about it. We do not see anything like that. Now, we want to find out, as a professional, the best practices for large-scale farming, and agriculturists, they've advised us to begin to go back to the land, to begin to farm like we used to do in the olden days. Every house will have a little farm at the backyard for vegetables, onions, pepper, tomatoes, okra. We produce those ourselves, and maybe basic things we buy at the market is the fish or the meat or the pomo to cook the food with. But all those days are gone. We've often been told now that you can harvest yams by planting inside jute bags or buckets or whatever. So let us narrow down. Let us start first and foremost for you advising us. Large-scale farming, what are the best practices to ensure food sufficiency for Nigeria?
Yeah, we can say the good old days of producing pepper, tomato, and others have gone.
I'm talking about city life.
Yeah, but what we can say now is that there is need for us to do more.
Okay.
To produce more. Because this same pepper that we were talking about in those days, the same pepper that we still go to market and buy. Somebody is producing them. But all we need to do is that there should be a holistic approach to all these subsistence farmers. Study made us to understand that the small scale farmer produce the largest 80% quantity of food in the country. But how have they fared? You understand? Do they have access to the right input for production? Are the input available at the right time, in the right quantity? You understand? And when you look at it, because most of these things that we are talking about is that give me a good cutlass, give me a good hoe, I will produce. But when you see a farmer that cannot even afford buying a bottle of herbicide because the price has gone beyond the reach of the farmer. So all this we have to phantom in ways by which these small scale farmers productivity that could be enhanced. Supporting them in terms of giving them the required input, not supplying it's just like I needed a biro now, you are giving pencil. Does it work? So they should be provided with the right material, with the right tools to work. Then there should even be an government established mechanized garage where farmer can go and hire tractor, hire all this machine, to work on the farm so that they can increase.
But northern governors are doing tremendously well when it comes to tractors. When we look at the news all the time, you see the efforts being made by northern governors in terms of mechanization.
Okay.
We do not have that in the south or in the eastern part of the country. I wonder why there's so much disparity when it comes to that.
I think those in the government should be able to tell us what is happening. Because if it is operational in certain part of the country and we can't have it in some other part of the same country, then something has gone wrong.
And don't you think at some point we tend to push, especially agricultural responsibility, down to the government, and we probably share none of that blame?
Come again?
Most times. Don't you think at some point we tend to push the responsibility agriculturally way to the government and not on us? Because the truth is the government won't pick up hoes and cutlass and storm the bushes for us. So don't you think at some point we tend to just put so much responsibility and lay the blame on the government and not really us taking that responsibility ourselves and getting the job done?
We can't push it back to the government, right? We can't. Take for instance the CBN program. Was it the government that will plant the rice? No. The government, let's see there is problem in the rice production sector. Then let us pump out money under a particular program. You and I know what exactly happened to the money.
Up till now, they've not been able to get back 90% of the money.
Then there was a time we had wheat production program in the country. And some other area. Government felt that, look, there is need for this. So government has done its own part. It is left for us to even do our own part. It is left for us. You see, there are times that when we try to blame the government, we are blaming ourselves. Honestly, we are, because government now, do you want, take for instance, you want me as the head. Let's assume I am the head here. And I say, oh, gentlemen and lady, let us do this thing. Okay, this is how we are going to do it. Take the resources, take the materials. Go ahead. Have I not tried? Then mine is to now say, oh, how far? And there will be feedback. Oh, the work is going on. Oh, the work, we will be expecting the outcome. Is that government? Then should we not have the seal to say, oh, government has done his own part, let me do my own part. Or let's all do our own part.
So what do we do now? What advice do you have for large-scale food production in Nigeria in the face of, what we're going through? We don't have access to inputs. Poverty is a problem. Money, as it were. We've already identified that the poor people are the ones who produce 80 to 90% of the foods.
Yeah, the small-scale farmers.
The small-scale subsistence farmers. Yeah. Yet you've identified right here now that they don't have the opportunity. So how do we help? What advice do you have in food production for large farms? Where the food comes from?
The advice based on the prevailing situation. Actually, people are hungry. Yes, and based on the prevailing situation, we should take it from both sides. The government has seen that there is a problem of food on the land. Then those of us at the other side of the divide also, we are suffering from it. So we should also come together and take the bull by the horn. Look, I won't deceive you. When you go to some of our rural areas, everybody has come to the town. Yes, everybody has come to the town. Nobody. Let me take for instance. I say, oh, one of us here. By tomorrow, let's go to the farm and establish. People are leaving the farm. We are not going to the farm. I don't know whether you understand it. So, but I said we see it as the need. We see it as the need, and when you look at what goes on around our homes in the town, in urban center now, you see a lot of people planting pepper, home garden. This has been on from Adam, but with what is happening now, people are now going to it. In my home now, I have about a raised bed. Because by December, I know it might be difficult to have
chicken.
Maybe at the rate of 25,000 naira. But if I am able to raise now, before then it will mature. So, and I know, if we now see, go move around. While we were coming, we saw some vacant plot now being planted with maize. That's part of it. So we have identified as a problem. Government has identified. Then there is need for government to do more.
How do we increase yield?
Then there is need for us to even say, oh, government is doing this. Okay, let me do this.
How do we increase yield in large farms?
To increase yield in that farm, we have identified. It's only that we want to be repeating ourselves. We need input. Let this input be available.
Seeds. How do we get seeds? Yes. I discovered that that's another very, very serious problem in the agricultural sector, giving farmers the right kinds of seeds.
Yes, it's a factor. We can't shy from that one. But again, we also have to play a role. When I produce and you produce, Emmanuel produces, then we will always have sufficient. But out of the 5 of us here, I am the only one producing. You will eat, he will eat. Others will eat. So how will I have the one that I will store?
Personally, I'm not a farmer, but I think it is quite easier to manage soil health and fertility for the gardens.
Yeah.
I don't know how easy or how best one could do that for large-scale farming. How can one manage the soil fertility for large-scale farming?
Yes, it is the managing soil fertility or improving soil health is a very important factor in food production. Like I said the other time, that most of our agricultural production here is rain-fed, and that is one of the fundamental major factor affecting our soil. We try to go on with continuous cropping, continuous cultivation, without actually injecting soil conditioners. Okay, soil conditioners like this organic manure. Okay, because at times when you increase inorganic manure on the land, it destroys the land. It destroys the land. Because there will be some fertility in this, or some nutrients in the soil that will not be made available to plants. When there is excess, the soil can become acidic. So there is need for engaging in or going into organic farming. Organic farming will make what is produced to be healthy. Then it will also improve the health of the soil. However, our farmer much in tune with organic farmers, the small-scale farmers that produces. And all these are the orientation, the campaign that you go around. There is no land anywhere. But what the land that we have that has been producing, there is need to improve the health of the soil. So it is when the health of the soil is improved that the productivity can be improved. It's just like where we started from. If I have not taken enough food now, I will not be I might be speaking, you might be saying, what are you saying? We can please increase your voice. So the same thing applicable to soil. There is need to improve on the health of the soil so that it can be made more productive.
What about gardens? Because we did mention it, and I was trying to tell you that a lot of people don't go into, like, growing up, we used to have a garden in my house. We have okra, we have big peppers.
Yes.
We have, when it's tomato time, we'll plant tomato, then greens, we'll plant greens. You know, so we have our own vegetables in the backyard.
Okay.
Which then, as children, we always love to walk at the garden. Sometimes my parents will go to Leventis then.
Okay.
They'll buy these seedlings inside, imported seedlings inside packets. We'll go to the garden and we'll plant our tomatoes, we'll do the ridges and whatever you. I know all that has gone, but for those who practice it, how well can we improve productivity?
Yeah, we might not completely say it has gone. At the back of my office now, there is a plot there in the office where tomato is they are planted. So it's because people are becoming sensitive to the prevailing situation. By the time you close from the office and you are going home, look around. All vacant land, abandoned building, uncompleted building, marginal side of the road. People planted maize, cassava. I went to a place yesterday to service my car. I saw a man, a mechanic, holding cutlass, cutting around that place where he planted cassava, cocoyam, and plantain. So he was trying to nurture them. When you go to an average home now, you see a small cage where they raise bed. So home garden has reincarnated, whether we like it or not. In fact, there is a course that I teach. I told them, the essence of this course is not to make you a big farmer, but to make you to be able to have something fresh in your house. Have vegetable. That's the joy.
So what advice do you have for Nigerians as we round up in terms of food sufficiency?
The advice is that number one, we should both take it holistically as a problem facing the country. The government also should put in more effort, double their effort to increase food production. And the smallholder farmers should also be encouraged in terms of facilities, in terms of access to credit, access to input, and there should also be effective monitoring, supervision, and evaluation of agricultural programs tailored towards food production in this country.
Yes, so we want to appreciate you for coming on the show this morning.
Thank you very much.
Anyone who has missed the show, you know the way we do it. You can always watch the full episode on YouTube. All right, our guest this morning, speaking on Nigeria's food sufficiency, agricultural tips for large farms and home garden, is Dr. Ibidapo Iranola, agricultural economist. We appreciate you so much for being on Daybreak Africa.
Thank you very much.
It was indeed a wonderful episode. You have a great day. I am Ezekiel.
I am Anire Binitie. Thanks for watching. Have a fantastic day. Bye for now.
Yes, there is news on your device, but hearing an analyst's perspective is the icing on the cake that Daybreak Africa provides. Break. Start your day with prompt analysis of the latest news, trends,
Exactly, and then you see these people, they are so agile, they can do a lot of
politics,
We have to go back to that regional system. That is the foundation of this country, for God's sake.
entertainment, fashion, culinary skills,
So first I'm going to be pouring the oil inside the pot and I will...
religious and cultural events amongst others on Daybreak Africa.
For a rich mix of analysis on current issues, tune in daily from 7 a.m. to 9 a.m. on channel 480 and 124 on Startimes.